Welcome back to another weekly Friday update. As you can see, the new neon sign, I think that's brilliant. I love it. Last Sunday we was at the Forney 10k, the England Masters qualifier. There's my medal. And going into the race, I wasn't overly confident. I knew, so I ran Brighton 10k in November and ran 35:05, I think, and just missed out on the England place. And I knew I'd probably have to run that sort of time again at Forney. So I wasn't sort of overly confident because I'd been out for 6 weeks injured, and only been back a month, sort of running and getting my fitness back. And I'd looked at the entries, and I knew Brian Corsley, Rob Farron, would probably get places. So there was probably one spot left realistically, and I did think I'd have to run well, and it would probably be between me and John Pike. And as it panned out, Rob Farron for some reason didn't turn up, so that helped me loads. And I'd sort of sat behind John Pike for a couple of miles in the middle of the race there. And then as we got to halfway and we had to switch back, people, as you're running out and they're coming in, it looks a lot closer than it probably is. And I was mindful that Billy Wheeler, and there's people like Martin Jennings, I saw lots of people up there I knew, and I thought to myself, Jesus, they're not too far behind. So at about mile 4, I thought to myself, I can't sit behind John Pike for too much longer, because the chances are Billy Wheeler and co will probably catch me up, and then it's a big scrap then. So at 4 miles, I decided to sort of like try and push on, and I was listening for, footsteps and to see if John Pike was coming with me, but couldn't hear nothing. So I just sort of had to maintain it and think to myself, right, I just got to sort of finish strong, which we did. We finished in 35:31. Luckily, that was for third place in the M50 category, and we got a selection for the England Masters, which will be in May at Bideford, North Devon. So it's a long way to go, but these opportunities don't come around very often, so I'll have to make the long journey. What is it, probably 6 or more hours down to Devon. Really looking forward to that. So that'll be my 4th one now. Obviously doing it the first time was great, amazing, but to do it the second, third, and now the 4th time, that really is, you start to feel like you're becoming a regular now. So and next year I'll be moving up into the next age category, the M55s, so potentially that should make it even easier. So really hopeful going into next year that I can perhaps pick up another 1 or 2 of these England spots. The course itself, an out and back dead flat, pancake flat course, perfect. I had done it once before, many years ago, but I now believe it was probably the 5-mile race I did, and they've since probably turned it into a 10k. But I think it was a 5-miler when I done it. But yeah, pancake flat, good course as long as it's not windy, and conditions were perfect. So I was really happy with that. The shoes, I wore the Adidas Evo Pro ones, and the same again. you know, to be honest, they still look brand new. Really, I've worn them 3 races now. One of them was the marathon. When they were sort of originally released, they were only said to have a lifespan of about 30 miles. Well, mine look, you know, really near enough as good as new. Felt lovely for a 10k, nice and smooth. Like I say, when I've worn them for the marathon, they've given me, by halfway, they've given me a blister, and in the end, they've bled, which is a bit uncomfortable, you know, during the marathon. Initially, the first pair I had were a size 8.5, and then the second pair, these are a 9, and I was thinking that that might have cured the issue, but when I wore these in New York, the same happened. I got a blister and it bled, and it was in exactly the same spot. So yeah, but for a 10k, you know, perfect. I had worn for a park run once when I was just breaking them in, and you know, when I first got them, ran well there, 16:59. So overall, yeah, love the Evo Pro ones. So now looking forward, in 3 weeks' time, we've got the Manchester Marathon representing the England Masters again, and the bib number has just arrived, so we can open that, see. There we go. So it's a white star. And what number is it? 26451. 26451. So that's Manchester. That's in 3 weeks. Then 3 weeks after that, we've got the 10k down in Bideford. So that's May the 10th. And then in early June, we've got the Swansea half marathon. So all of those 3 races, big races, for the England Masters team. So we'll be taking everyone behind the scenes and show everyone, you know, that there can't be too many people who represent these England Masters teams and, you know, make these videos for everyone to watch. So, you know, hopefully that'll be good and interesting. And in between that, we've got the Fighter 5k, which is in, that'll be the week after the 10k in Bideford. That'll be about the 19th of May. And yeah, I'll be looking to do well, run a good time, and hopefully use that time as a potential entry for the England Masters 5k. So yeah, I'll be looking to run well in the 5k, and seeing if I can make the Masters team. But same again, it's probably not my best distance. So, you know, but like this, you never know. You know, you can only beat who turns up on the day, and you can only run the times. You know, by then I imagine I would be back to my sort of peak fitness, I would have thought. And, you know, you never know. Hopefully, you know, I can run sub 17 and hopefully get a spot on that 5k England Masters team. So my training for this week, so we had the 10k on Sunday, and then Monday we had 45 minutes. On Tuesday we had an hour. On Wednesday we had a session, 6 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 sets of that, with jog recoveries. You know, that went well. It was a very windy afternoon, evening, but yeah, that went well. Thursday we had 45 minutes, and today, Friday, is a rest day. Saturday is a big tempo. Big tempo, yeah, I think is it an hour tempo, probably about 10 miles. It was either 10 miles or an hour, I can't remember now, but you know, so that's a big tempo, quite daunting really, but we'll get it done, no doubt. And then Sunday we've got a 2 hour long run. So what's that? Probably, 15, 16, 17 miles. And depending on the weather, I haven't decided where I'm going to go yet and what time. But I'll probably, fit it in around the weather. But I'll probably pick the best window of opportunity. And yeah, 2 hours, we'll get that done. So that's how the week's panning out of the, like I say, 3 weeks away from the marathon. Trying to get as much volume in probably as possible. And so last week I ordered the Mizuno Hyperwarp Pure, and that's these over here. They're weighing in at 140 grams, I believe. Remember to take this out. Last time when I done it at the beginning there, I forgot, didn't I? And right, so there we go. Yeah, dead on 140 grams. So one of the lightest shoes. So actually I've got the Evo Pros here. Let's see what they were. They was about 137, I think, weren't they? Let's see what they are. 136. So 136. $140. So barely nothing in them in terms of weight. These should be probably more durable. Yeah, it's a Piva foam, and they haven't specified that it only lasts for 30 miles. The grip is definitely going to be a little bit better, whereas on the Evo Pros it's just like a liquid rubber which is applied, and it's very very thin, minute, but there's no traction there whatsoever in the wet. Or you can't wear these in the wet really. So yeah, so the grip is definitely going to be improved, and the durability is going to be improved, and they're the same sort of weight. So we'll see how these goes. I'm really excited to give these a bash. I'll probably use these at that 5K in May. I wouldn't wear these for the marathon just because. So I ordered an 8.5, but when manufacturers are trying to make them as light as possible, they tend to make them as small as possible. On the smaller side of the size. So an 8.5, although I ordered an 8.5, it's a very small 8.5. Really, it probably should have been a 9. Really. So I wouldn't wear these for the marathon. And the 10K in Bideford, it's a possibility. I could wear these. So that's the week before. I could wear these for Bideford, perhaps. But the same again. I've got to use these up at some point. I keep. If it's I'm now getting into May and decent weather. I'll be able to wear them because of the lack of grip. So Bideford could be either or, and the same for the 5K. So coming up in May, I'll be wearing these Hyperwarps, and we'll see how they go. So if you'd like to see these up and coming England Masters races, at Manchester Marathon, at Bideford the 10K, and the Swansea Half Marathon, and click that subscribe button, and they'll be coming very soon in the next 2 or 3 months. There'll be lots of big races. Then we've got the Fighter 5K. We'll have some EMAT track races. They'll be coming up through May, June. So like this video, comment down below. I'm happy to answer any questions. Subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Do better, be better.
Sean, man racing. Do better, be better. Do better, be better.